Hello, I'm Paul Rickard, the coordinator of the Bobbinheadcycle Classic. Today, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to share with you some important things about being a marshal in the Bobbinheadcycle Classic. But before I do so, let me just express the thanks of the organisers, the charity partners, and most importantly, the riders themselves for your support. Joining me today is the Ride Director, Michael Robinson. Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm a marshal. What's my role?
Well, Paul, there are four main things you need to do for us. One is to ensure that the cyclists have a safe and enjoyable day. Another is to alert the cyclists to any hazards that might be in your local area. A third is to be the first responder in the event that there's an incident that where a cyclist requires some help. And finally, you need to direct the cyclists. Don't presume that they know the way, because many of them don't. And sometimes they end up in funny places.
We don't want that. All marshals will get a marshal kit, such as the one I'm holding, which will contain a high visibility vest that Michael and I are wearing, that you need to wear as well, a drink bottle, some snacks, a copy of the emergency response plan, and an individual marshal brief. Michael, the individual marshal brief, what is this document?
Yes, Paul, the individual marshal brief shows a map and some documentation. The map we call a traffic control plan, or TCP, and it's a map of the local area that we're asking you to marshal. It shows also the direction north. It shows the direction that the riders are going, and that's highlighted by the blue arrow. And it shows the specific point where you need to be to marshal. And in the case that we're showing here, it's 42C, which is on the northeast corner of Kenthurst and Douglas Streets at St Ives. The chart below shows the time that we need you to be in position. It's very important to get there on time or early, and be aware that there'll be often quite heavy traffic associated with the event, or in some cases roads closed, particularly through the national parks, which might make it a little bit more difficult to get into position on time. So please leave early. These charts also show specific hazards or risks at the sites that you're marshalling.
Okay, I'm a marshal, but I'm not allowed to stop traffic, am I?
No, you're definitely not allowed to stop traffic. Only people with traffic control certification are allowed to do that. So we don't want you to stop traffic. And there are a few other things we don't want you to do.
So take us through what else I can't do.
We don't want you to wave your arms around because that can be confusing and hazardous for the cyclists. We don't want you to leave your position unattended. So if you're in any doubt as to whether or not the event is finished, contact the team leader and he will give you advice. We don't want you to step out onto the road or in front of cyclists. So stay on the footpath or well behind any guardrails that you might be positioned at.
Okay, so now let's talk about actually marshalling cyclists. What are some of the signals or calls I make to actually control cyclists?
Well, the directions for cyclists can be given either by hand or verbally. And by hand, we can indicate turn left, go straight, stop, slowing.
And what else as a marshal should I really know?
Well, a few other things to know, and very importantly, you need to know that you should have your mobile phone with you. You need to know that the event will continue irrespective of the weather and will only be stopped in exceptional circumstances, and that call will be made by the police. So please presume that it will go ahead. You need to know also that we'll have some mobile support for the cyclists in the event that they have mechanical failures, that there are drink stops around the course, and it's a good idea to know where those drink stops are because cyclists will often ask you. And occasionally, but very rarely fortunately, we have a little bit of trouble with motorists who are held up by the event. So be courteous to them. If there are some significant problems with them, just contact your team leader or the police who will be patrolling the course. And
importantly, please study the emergency response plan and make sure you swap with your team leader his or her mobile number with yours so that you can stay in touch during the day. Again, thanks you for the support. It is so important to making this event really successful, and the cyclists so much appreciate the support of the marshals. And when you finish your shift, please come and join us at Career Oval and join us for a sausage sandwich and a can of drink. Again, on behalf of everyone, thank you. We look forward to seeing you on the day.